Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Razak at CMTrading. Today is September 22nd, 2021, and today is Wednesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the market settled before we get our big FOMC fund rate decision later today. So moving into our major economic events of the day at 8 p.m. out of the United States, a Fed interest rate number coming out. That's a very important event, so you do want to know. Now, all the markets are being affected by it, starting out with the Forex symbols. The major pairs pretty much sitting on support in anticipation to this fund rate decision. The indices, the Dow Jones bounces, but the Nasdaq does not. That's an important factor. Now, looking at commodities, gold within range, bouncing off 1750, while oil continues to gain. Now, looking at stocks, the weakness is across the board, and this may be what the markets is waiting for. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin bouncing off that second support of 40,000. But let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're going to start out with the Euro USD at a daily, and you could see how tight we've been in on the past couple of days. And we're just trading at 17.29, nothing really happening big. But on the bigger picture, if we look at the bigger picture here, I mean, we're at the bottom of this range where we've gained up from 1890, right? And we've looked like we're past our, some of the woes of the euro, but we're back down to our 1720-ish level. And this is really a key place for the euro, because if we look at the Aussie dollar and the GBP, they're also on major levels, okay, at the bottom of that range. So this is systemic. This is across the board, and that's what we like to see. Of course, the Dow Jones and the Nasdaq did sell off significantly, so that makes the dollar a little bit stronger. So that is where we want to be. Now, looking at the GBP also, we're looking at a daily. It's very close to that 36.24-ish level. We're only about 20 pips away from it. So in all intents and purposes, that's the bottom of the range. Now, if we do breach these areas, okay, that's really very important, because that means we could get back down to this 130-ish level in the GBP. In the euro, we can even hit 16. So that's really very important to note and to keep that in mind. Now, looking at some of the other markets, starting out with the gold. Gold bounced off of 1750. You could see it right now. It's trading at 1778. That's a nice bounce, okay, but it's really in mid-range, okay? So this is also waiting for this very important interest rate decision out of the United States. If we look at crude oil, also at $71.41 off of our lows of $69. That's a nice little range for us to be trading in. There's some momentum here, and there's some volatility in oil. And that's really because of the pandemic still happening, and it's also because some of the markets are opening up. So there's a lot of things going on into the factor of why oil has really gained a lot of real estate in the past couple of weeks. Now, looking at the big board, we're looking at the Dow Jones. We're going to look at a daily chart. Now, this is a significant correction, okay? The last time we had this type of correction was back in June, okay, where we corrected from 34,800 down to 32,000-ish at 33,000, okay? Now, this is just as big as that. This is 1,500 points, okay? I'm not saying that we're going to sell off here. We're going to be, back in the 29,000. This may be the beginning of a bear market, okay? We are in that season of the year where the markets generally sell off. Now, today's Fed rate decision is going to be very, very important. Now, we are at support for all intents and purposes at this 34,000-ish level. So this is really a very key area for us to bounce off of today. Now, if we do breach it, our next level of support is 33,000. So keep that in mind. As we look at the Nasdaq also, we didn't get so big of a bounce here. So a lot of weakness. And, it was the major stock components that are showing us the major weakness. Like if we look at Microsoft, big gap down below $300 a share, okay? It wants to close up that gap. If we look at Facebook, also a big gap down. If we look at Amazon, also a gap down, okay? But I'm not, this is kind of a very important junction for it to be, because it's going to be one of these major stocks that are going to take us lower. And so if it's not going to be Amazon, it may be some of the other stocks. If we look at Apple also, hasn't really revived itself. But maybe it's just waiting for the Fed to give us that reassurance in the markets for us to rebound. Okay, so that could be an important juncture for us to be. And lastly, looking at Bitcoin, the 40,200-ish level, just bouncing off of it. We're about 2,000 points above it. And looks like we're going to continue. So this is also something to keep in mind later today. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.